It was Prime Minister Modi's first bilateral with the 47th President of United States, Donald Trump, in his third term. This was a meeting of two world leaders who are expected to play a critical role in the new world order. It was a display of bonhomie and camaraderie between the two world leaders as the Prime Minister arrived at the White House earlier today. As the Prime Minister arrived, he was gifted a coffee table book by US President Donald Trump. The book was titled Our Journey Together and also had an inscription, Mr. Prime Minister, You're Great, signed by US President Donald Trump. The book had pictures of both leaders together and includes the events Howdy Modi and Namaste Trump. The meeting between Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi focused on several critical issues that concern both nations, as well as the regional stability and security of Indo-Pacific. As the duo addressed the media after the meeting, they made it clear that both nations aspire to hit $500 billion mark in trade by the year 2030. India and US are looking to secure a deal on F-35 stealth jets soon, which could be a big fillip to India's defense sector. The US President also confirmed that efforts are on to extradite the 2611 plotter Tahavur Rana, and both nations will cooperate in their bid to combat terrorism. US President Donald Trump also vowed to impose reciprocal tariffs. Here are some of the highlights of what transpired at the big bilateral.
जब अमेरिका और भारत साथ मिलकर काम करते हैं, यानी मागा प्लस मीगा, तब बन जाता है मेगा पार्टनरशिप फॉर प्रॉस्पेरिटी। इसरो और नासा के आपसी सहयोग से बनाई निसार सैटेलाइट शीघ्र ही भारतीय लॉन्च व्हीकल पर अंतरिक्ष की उड़ान भरेगी। आज हमने द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को 2030 तक 2 गुना से भी अधिक बढ़ाकर $500 बिलियन तक पहुंचाने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है। अमेरिका और भारत मिलकर के हमारी कोशिश है और हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की पूरी इकोसिस्टम को हमें जड़ मूल से नष्ट करना चाहिए ताकि ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग बंद हो।
Anywhere in the world, they've been very strong on tariffs, and I don't blame them necessarily, but it's a different way of doing business. It's very hard to sell into India because they have trade barriers, very strong tariffs. We are right now a reciprocal nation. We are going to, if it's India or if it's somebody else with low tariffs, we're going to have the same. We're going to have whatever India charges, we're charging them. Whatever another country charges, we're charging them. So it's called reciprocal, which I think is a very fair. As you said, we're giving a very violent man, it seems to me. I mean, I don't know that he's been convicted yet or will be, but let's assume he's a pretty violent person. We're giving him back to India immediately, and there are more to follow because we have quite a few requests. So we work with India on crime. Starting this year, we'll be increasing military sales to India by many billions of dollars. We're also paving the way to ultimately provide India with the F-35 stealth fighters.
Mr. President, you spoke about Prime Minister Modi as a tough negotiator. Who was a tougher negotiator today and who has a better negotiating tactic when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest. Okay?
One of the key issues discussed by both leaders is the issue of immigration. Remember, the deportation of 104 illegal Indian immigrants just days earlier emphasized Donald Trump's strong stand on illegal immigration. But more importantly, this tough stand has also raised concern over legal immigration, especially when it comes to the H-1B visas. Speaking on the issue of the illegal immigration, Prime Minister said that this remains a global issue as many innocent people are lured by big dreams. Prime Minister Modi assured that India will take back verified illegal immigrants and will protect the poor from exploitation and human trafficking. Listen to what Prime Minister Modi said on the issue before we take the conversation forward.
जहां तक भारत और अमेरिका का सवाल है, हमने हमेशा कहा है कि जो वेरीफाइड होगा, कि जो सच्चे अर्थ में भारत का ही नागरिक होगा, वो अगर अमेरिका में गैर कानूनी तरीके से रहता है तो उसको वापस लेने के लिए भारत तैयार है। ये सामान्य परिवारों के बच्चे होते हैं, उनको बड़े बड़े सपने दिखाए जाते हैं और उनको ज्यादातर ऐसे होते हैं उनको गुमराह करके लाया जाता है और इसलिए ये ह्यूमन ट्रैफिकिंग में जुड़े हुए पूरे इकोसिस्टम पर हमने वार करना चाहिए और अमेरिका और भारत मिल करके हमारी कोशिश है और हमारी कोशिश रहनी चाहिए कि इस प्रकार की पूरी इकोसिस्टम को हमें जड़ मूल से नष्ट करना चाहिए.
Yes, it did figure during the discussions today, and the Prime Minister said, as I think he mentioned during the press conference as well, and during the discussions also he said that India has made its stand very clear that if there are illegal immigrants proven to be Indian citizens in any country abroad, we will take them back. But he did emphasize, and again I think he referred to this in his remarks at the press conference, but even during the discussions, he did emphasize that the return of illegal immigrants is not the end of the story. There is an ecosystem that thrives on this racket and that promotes and enables this racket. And it is the responsibility of both countries to do something about this.
So the Prime Minister made it clear that people who have illegally gone to America have no right to stay there, and if they are verified Indian citizens, they'll be taken back. He also said the real focus should be on the ecosystem that runs human trafficking. Let's take a look at how many Indians are there in America. What is the India factor in US? There are 5.4 million Indian Americans as of 2024, and this information we are getting through the US Census Bureau as per source. 1.47% Indian Americans in the total US population. Two-thirds are first-generation immigrants who are part of the US population. This is the India factor that we're talking about. Let's also take a look at this ground report that was sent to us earlier by our senior executive editor, Martha Das Gopalakrishnan.
While the word H-1B visa has not been mentioned in the joint statement specifically, but there is a very important mention of this issue. And they have said that they are committed to streamlining avenues for legal mobility of students and professionals and facilitating short-term tourist and business travel, while also aggressively addressing illegal immigration and human trafficking. And in fact, at that bilateral meeting, the Prime Minister had indicated that while India is firmly committed to taking back its citizens, if it is indeed proved that they are from India, and no country would support illegal immigration, India certainly doesn't, the issue does not stop there. Illegal immigration is also caused by a certain ecosystem that often cheats the poorest in a country, and they are given false promises which lure them into such illegal immigration rackets. There's a need for both countries to work together to crack down on this entire ecosystem. However, the very fact that legal immigration and education avenues have been spoken about in no uncertain terms very clearly indicates the fact that H-1B visas, an issue which has been very hotly contested here in United States, will continue, and certainly those programs are not likely to be impacted, is the inference that we can draw from this particular statement.
All right, more breaking inputs coming in. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while speaking about the issue of illegal immigrants, said that India is ready to accept illegals. 2 more flights will now bring back the illegal immigrants. 119 immigrants to land on the 15th of February. 67 migrants from Punjab to be deported. Let's in fact go across to Pavit, my colleague, who's joining us with more details. 67 migrants from Punjab and 33 migrants from Haryana to be deported, Pavit. And they'll land tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. There is a breaking news which is coming that at least 119 Indian immigrants will be deported from the US and who are expected to arrive in the Guru Ramdas International Airport in Amritsar on board on 2 flights, that is on February 15th and 16th. The officials have confirmed the same. They are saying that both flights are scheduled to land at Amritsar Airport. So the officials have said that around 67 people are from Punjab, followed by 33 from Haryana, 8 from Gujarat, 3 from Uttar Pradesh, 2 from Maharashtra, 2 from Rajasthan, 1 each from Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. So the reports that are coming as of now are stating that the deportees are scheduled to reach India over the weekend, that is 15th and 16th. And these include those people who have entered US through Mexico and other routes, but allegedly they tore their passports immediately after entering the US states. So this is being stated that earlier also we are aware that on February 5th, around 104 Indian migrants were deported from US in C-17 Globemaster, but it has to be seen now that will the US Army again bring its C-17 Globemaster to deport these public people out in India, or other air traffic would be used, other air transportation will be used to deport these illegal immigrants, which are stated to be around 119 in number.
All right, Pavit, can India also send its aircraft to bring them back? Is that also something that is being reported?
See, as of now, there is no official confirmation on the same, but as our sources claim that US is sending its planes to India and they have not reached out India for the same. So, but we have to look forward to the same, whether the private planes are going to be used for these deportation this time, or again, we are going to see the Indian immigrants shackled up again and being brought to India back in the C-17 Globemaster as a part of Donald Trump's the migration crackdown, which he promised in his election campaign, and he made it true also by doing these.
All right, Pavit, thank you for getting us the details. We'll keep coming back to you for more. Moving on, the Prime Minister's first bilateral in his third term with the US President Donald Trump had many significant achievements. For one, the US announced that it's preparing to extradite a key conspirator in the 2611 case, Tahabur Rana. India and the United States have also vowed to increase trade between the two nations to $500 billion by 2030. The two nations have also agreed on joint efforts to counter terrorism. However, it appears this bilateral has not convinced the opposition. The opposition is accusing Prime Minister of covering up the corruption of Adani. First up, here's what the Prime Minister said.
Can I ask whether you discussed at all today the case of Gautam Adani, who's one of the wealthiest men in Asia and perceived as an ally of Prime Minister Modi? Prime Minister Modi, have you asked the President to take action on that case? Thank you.
पहली बात है, भारत एक लोकतांत्रिक देश है और हमारे संस्कार, हमारी संस्कृति वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की है। हम पूरे विश्व को अपना एक परिवार मानते हैं। हर भारतीय को मैं अपना मानता हूं। दूसरी बात है, ऐसे व्यक्तिगत मामलों के लिए दो देश के मुखिया न मिलते हैं, न बैठते हैं, न बात करते हैं।
The opposition also says Prime Minister was forced to do a press conference in the United States. Citing the Adani issue, they say this is exactly why the Prime Minister does not interact with the media in India.
In Parliament, when we raise about Adani's issue, when we ask the question on Adani, it is not accepted. When the leader of opposition speaks about Adani, the word Adani becomes unparliamentary word and it is expunged. Now in America, a reporter has asked Mr. Modi about Adani and his face changed, his body language changed, but he was not answering the question. He takes it as personal matter. What is that personal matter? India's wealth has been handed over to Adani, Mr. Prime Minister. You have to answer. You have to reply.
See, India never got such an embarrassing situation on the land of other countries for the first time, because Trump and Modi visit was watched by a whole world, and journalists asked about Adani corruption. Already cases against corruption are pending in America. And instead of replying that Mr. Modi would have said that we will take action in India, and would also ask Trump to take appropriate action, but instead that he indirectly said that every Indian is a scammer.
Upon being asked that question on Adani, Prime Minister Narendra Modi very clearly said that individual cases are never discussed whenever two leaders of two nations meet for a bilateral. They never meet, first of all, for such individual cases to be discussed, and such cases are never discussed during such meetings between two heads of state. Now, the opposition is hitting out at the Prime Minister on that question asked about Mr. Gautam Adani, saying that that's the reason why the Prime Minister does not attend or take press conferences in India. Let's go across to Pratibha. She's joining us from the newsroom with more reactions, I believe.
Right, Swati. So opposition leaders are criticizing Prime Minister Modi, though he gave a very stern message on the Adani issue when he was asked about the same. Here's what the opposition leaders in the country are saying. Rahul Gandhi, the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, has said, ask questions in the country and there's silence, ask questions abroad and it's a private matter. Even in the United States, Modi ji covered up Adani's corruption. When filling a friend's pocket is nation building for Modi ji, then bribery and looting the country's assets become a personal matter. And it's not just Rahul Gandhi who has criticized the Prime Minister. Jairam Ramesh has also taken to Twitter. He says Mr. Modi likes to display his knowledge of algebra equations acquired through his training in entire political science. First, he likened Indo-Canada relations to A plus B to the square of 2. And now in the context of India and USA, he says MAGA and MEGA equals mega. Remember, he spoke about make America great again and make India great again coming together, becoming a mega announcement. And then Jairam Ramesh goes on to say, actually, the only equation that counts is Modi plus Adani equals Modani. So the opposition leaders continue to criticize the Prime Minister despite his
all opposition leaders, Pratibha. Some actually are pretty impressed with what has happened. Thank you, Pratibha, for getting us the details. So while Rahul Gandhi has hit out at Prime Minister, there are some within the Congress who say such statements are encouraging.
Well, so far, I must say that what we've seen from the press statements by both the Prime Minister and by President Trump are very encouraging, because it looks like some of the big concerns we all had have been addressed. For example, on the question of trade and tariffs, they've decided to sit down together and do a serious negotiation that will conclude by the fall, which is the autumn, September, October of this year. I think that's a very good outcome, because otherwise the fear was there might be some hasty decisions made in Washington which would have affected our exports. This way there is time to discuss and negotiate. I welcome that. Secondly, on the illegal immigration issue, the only thing missing there from what Prime Minister Modi said was the question of the manner in which those people were treated and sent back. I think otherwise his stand was absolutely correct. These are misled youth who have been encouraged or induced to migrate illegally.
We have Pragya joining us on the broadcast with more details. Pragya, since morning we've been hearing the opposition hitting out at the Prime Minister, saying that the Prime Minister was on the back foot on the issue of immigration or on the issue of Adani as well. Shashi Tharoor, also part of the opposition of the Congress party, says that these statements are encouraging. The Prime Minister said that the focus should be on fighting the ecosystem that indulges in human trafficking.
Well, you know, look at the stature and look at the status of both the premiers of the two nations, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Donald Trump. They are both talking about bigger issues, bigger things that actually mean a lot for the common man of India, be it tariffs and even, in fact, the business community for that matter, be it tariff, H1B visa, and also about a fight against terrorism. It impacts everyone in each one of us. So these are the big issues that they were dealing with. And when this question came, in fact, Prime Minister said this is an individualistic issue and the two heads do not speak on such issues on such a forum. This is a simple explanation that Prime Minister gave, and this was the reply, which Congress apparently, BJP, according to the BJP, Congress apparently twisted and said that Prime Minister said this is a personal matter. Prime Minister never said this is a personal matter first. He said they Vyaktigat hai. Vyaktigat means it's an individualistic matter and these are not discussed at such forums. This is the simple explanation. But having said that, we had seen Congress speaking, about India and the government. You know, you can be enemies in your own country, but at a time when Prime Minister is on a foreign soil, striking deals for India for the benefit of the common people and for the business community, they should have been very cautious.
That criticism has led to a massive political face-off. Pragya, thank you for getting us the details. We're moving on.